Hello, I hope that you are doing well. So today we are going to study an image from How to Train Your Dragon. My goal for this week was to do 2 studies a day of images that I like, of 1 hour each. And the result is that I did like 2 instead of 12. But anyway, I'm not gonna criticize myself for it too much because I prefer to go slow and really learn what I have to learn than doing 12 of them and then remember nothing. So I prefer to give my brain space so it consolidates whatever I'm learning. Now, having said that, let's go and do this study. Now, before I forget, let me make this smaller to the side. Okay, now we can go for it. Because I had to redo this video just because I forgot to make myself smaller and so the screen. Okay, so this is the image that I want to study because I really like it. So usually what the art school tells you is that you just copy it, right? And trying to learn what you see in this image. And this is the first thing that I did. So let me show you. All good until here, even though I didn't got the proportions right. Okay, I added some of the detail as well that I like. In any case, this is not requested in any exercise that I have seen, but I always felt that just by doing this, I am not really learning. So what I need is to do a second exercise where I take the key takeaways that I think that make this image work, and I apply them, but to a completely different drawing, a drawing of my own. So this way I can see if I can really apply the tricks and the secrets of the artist that did this, or actually all I can do is copy what the artist did, right? And that's something that like everybody can do. So what we are gonna do now, therefore, and to be honest, I don't know why nobody asked for this exercise because I feel it's like the most important part, take what you have learned and apply it, but to something different, where you cannot just copy everything. But anyway, we are now gonna do the study of understanding what are the key takeaways that make this image work, and then I will go and show you the completely different image that I did trying to use these tricks. So let's go close. Okay, so what I am seeing here, the first thing is that there is a lot of repetition of the shapes, like a diagonal here, another diagonal, the tail, the rocks, even these rocks. So a lot of repetition, and then in this area there are just some horizontals. And this makes a lot of sense because basically this is dividing the painting into thirds. So 1/3 is all action and diagonals, and the other part is all flat. And it makes a lot of sense for the story as well, right? Because this boat is trying to get to safety here, away from all the chaos in this other area. So basically repetition of shapes would be one. The second thing that I'm seeing is that there is very little complexity in the colors. It's all blue/gray, or orange. There are no other colors in the scene. However, the most important trick that I see here is about the values. And this is something that while I study, I am seeing more and more on every pro artist. It looks like their secrets are in rendering or in how to apply color or how to do light and shadow. But when you study them, do you really see that the biggest difference between them and the others is in the values? So I really recommend trying to focus on the values when you study. So what is going on with the values? Basically, what this illustration is doing is that everything that is in the background is low contrast, is very grayish. The darks are not as dark, the lights are not as light. And all the real, totally dark colors are in the character, all the super white lights are in the character, or even the most saturated colors are in the character. So basically, everything is low contrast except for the character where you have all the full variation that is going on here. And you can see that it is probably, if I zoom out, we will see that the biggest mark of this character is to be pretty dark. That is what makes it visible, with a few touches of very harsh light. Alright. And besides these tricks, I want to highlight another one that I see a lot from pro artists. Usually when I apply shadow and light, I try to think on what makes sense, if the light is coming from one place or the other, and try to make it sense with that. However, what I am seeing on these artists is that they basically apply light and shadow wherever it is convenient for them, not necessarily where it makes sense. Like for example, where is this orange light coming from if there is nothing below it? It makes absolutely no sense, right? It is only there because it helps you highlight the silhouette. Or another example, here in the rocks, the logical thing is that all the rocks looks the same, right? But just to save time, they leave most of the rocks like really not painted, and they only painted a few. And how they make these rocks look so rendered when they are actually not. Just a little bit more dark in the inside, a little bit more of light in the background, and boom, suddenly it looks like it is super defined. Does this light really make sense? It makes sense that suddenly these rocks are darker and this area is lighter in the background. Not really. You just do it because it helps you with the effect that you want to achieve. So that's all I wanted to highlight, that sometimes when it comes to shading and applying highlights, it's not about what makes sense, but simply about what is more convenient for you. So this is basically what I see. Repetition of shapes using only 2 colors. All the value variation is in the character and the rest is more grays, low contrast, and using lighted color at my own convenience. And knowing that, now I'm gonna show you the painting that I did. And because I don't know how to do this without editing too much, and I don't like to edit video, I'm gonna do it like this, and I hope it works. So I started from here, and I already had this image in my mind. I don't know why it came, but I just wanted to paint a girl in the forest. For whatever reason. I didn't want to think too much on the idea because then I get stuck and then this study takes 10 hours instead of 2. But anyway, this is a little bit the draft. Here you can see that I am trying to replicate this idea of having all diagonals, all similar shapes, and maybe a few horizontals to highlight more the character. Here I am choosing the color palette to try to limit myself to just 2 colors. So the idea was most of it will be green, and then I will use more tones in the pink and reddish brown in order to make highlights in the character. And well, basically this is how the character is looking. Now there was a point, I don't know if it is in this video. Alright. Now I started applying the highlights and I wanted to put all of them mostly in one side, just like it was with the dragon. Here I start to realize something, and it is that I feel like all the background is too light, like it is asking me to have more dark, because the character is darker, right? And usually the foreground tends to be darker and so on, so I started to make all of it darker. But what is the problem? That was not the strategy of the painting that we are studying, right? The painting that we are studying was trying to keep the background gray and really put all the value variation in the character. So I basically start doing it, and then I realized, no, if I do that, I am just painting like I usually paint, not really learning anything. And I wasn't sure why it actually looked better darker. And then I realized that the other scene was working because the silhouette of the dragon was super interesting. Let me show it once more. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a dragon, right? It is huge, it has a lot of shapes, a lot of stuff going on, the wings, everything. So of course it looks cool if you highlight the silhouette like this. Now, what I was doing at the end of the day, smart me, I choose to paint a girl in an egg position. So there is absolutely nothing interesting about the shape, right? It is just the back, the face is almost hidden, the hands are hidden, everything is really together, so it was not the best idea. So what I did, I tried to think a little bit more about it, and at the end I decided to redo the silhouette. Okay, I had to pause the recording because apparently my mic wasn't on, so I don't know if now it will be easier to hear or not, but we will see. If not, I will have to record again. Alright, so I had to find the right video. Now I found it. Basically, when I realized that the problem was the silhouette, what I did was trying to make it more interesting. So I changed a little bit the concept because in the end, the importance of this painting was more about being a study, not about what I wanted to paint. So what I do here is that I try to make it look more like a creature. Here I am making the foot longer, and I added some wings, so it would have a more interesting silhouette. So basically these are the wings coming into place. I just try to make it a bit less evil because it was looking evil. And well, so I tried to also improve the dress so it will look a little bit better and have a more interesting shape. And this is a little bit the idea. And finally, the final things I think I did was, no, this is not here. And well, it is already painted and I don't want to drive myself crazy finding where I did it. But you can see that in the background I've put very little effort. So I've simply made this part lighter. Why? Because I want to highlight better the character, but not because it makes sense. Then I try to keep it a bit more dark in here and in here, so the highlights of the hair and the dress can also be seen properly. Again, here where we have all the darkness of the legs, I try to make the background lighter. But again, it doesn't have much more. I put very little effort and detail on the background. It is all about helping me highlight the character. Okay, here you can see it completely. Probably I could have worked more the background, right? Not just a few grass here and there. But anyway, I didn't want to put more time in this study. So basically this is the end result. Let me see if I have a picture. The pictures always look worse. I don't really know why. Like there is more color here than here. But anyway, if anyone knows why this happens, let me know, because I really hate it when I export a file to PNG or JPG and it looks different. I really hate it. So this is how it looks at the end. It is absolutely not perfect, but it was doing this painting that I realized that it is not as easy as it looked to apply that strategy. Like it had way more complexity, and I was able to solve a few things when doing this, which is something that I will remember and I will be able to apply in the future. Especially the idea of having these two different lights, one that is very hard, one that is softer. I think it looks pretty well. But yeah, it is not really having the impact, I believe, that the image of the dragon, for example, has. In any case, this is a first study. Maybe in the future I will do more studies on this type of strategy and see how it works. So far, I'm happy. I'm seeing things here that I have never seen in my paintings, which means that I am improving. And yeah, I will continue doing this because, well, if you are new in my channel, I usually always explain every week where I am focusing on and whether that is helping me improve or not in being an artist. What I am seeing about these studies is that they are truly helping me a lot. They are really good. So yeah, I will continue with this. I will continue with the course that I'm doing. And yeah, when I get tired, I will focus on something else. But for the moment, I am enjoying it. In fact, I started hating it. Like these studies will make me super tired and I will dread them. And I don't know what exactly changed because I have only done like 4. But now I am feeling quite good about them and I am looking forward to do the next. So this is everything. If you want to tell me as well what are you focusing or how do you handle this type of studies, let me know and have a good day. Bye bye.